Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, I have two very bizarre and dark stories to tell you all about today, folks. One involves a possible dimensional incursion. With the night the wall shook, a Savannah family's unexplained encounter with another dimension, another involving this shadowy being, who is very, very spooky, folks. Let's get into the first article here and read through it, and then we'll have a great time. In 1964, a Savannah family was violently jolted by an unseen force that shook their kitchen wall as if struck by a truck. Yet, the next morning, no trace of damage could be found. Could this chilling incident in historic Yamagara have been a tear in the dimensional fabric, momentarily thrusting two lives into another plane of reality? Maybe, folks. Let's read on. I come from a place in Savannah, Georgia, called Yamagra. We were traveling to New York in '64 when I was just 7 years old. My mother came down to pick up my two sisters, my brother and me. My grandfather had advised her to take us north because the area was changing. I arrived late and she was preparing some food for me. As we talked about leaving, something violently struck the kitchen wall. It felt like an 18-wheeler had crashed into it. We watched as the wall shook, and then we were knocked out of our chairs. We ran down the long hallway to the living room. My grandmother, sisters, and brother had no idea what was happening. They hadn't heard a thing. The sound was like a bomb going off. So indeed, folks, that would be completely horrifying. Now, the fact that the brother and the two sisters means that this, commotion was localized to the kitchen and no one else could hear it. That alone makes me think that indeed this is some sort of dimensional incursion, some sort of intrusion from another reality into ours, folks. If that's the case, the further away you go, I think the less you would hear or basically experience any phenomena from the original dimensional tear. But that's just me basically spitballing ideas, as I've said before so many times, folks. But let's continue with this guy's story. The next morning, we went outside to inspect the damage, but there was nothing. The fence hadn't moved, and nothing was disturbed. Considering the force of that event, it should have knocked the house off its cinder blocks, especially since all the houses are built up on cinder blocks to protect against flooding. To this day, we cannot explain what happened. My mom is 83 now, and we talk about it often. We still have no explanation. No one has heard the noise except for the two of us. A woman once told me that it happened on another plane, and somehow we had crossed into that area when we entered the kitchen. Some stories would make your hair stand on end. There's also a note, folks. I agree that this may have been a tear in the dimensional fabric. I hear of anomalous experiences constantly, and it's not a new phenomenon. I believe the majority of unexplained events are a result of dimensional shifts as well. Is that true, folks? I mean, is it possible that Bigfoot, aliens, are beings shifting into our reality from another one, folks? And in fact, folks, what we call alien beings might be, intruders from this other reality, but they're able to cross over with technology because, maybe those ships that they're actually flying are some sort of dimensional vehicles instead of interstellar ones. Or maybe it's one and the same, folks. Maybe you can use some sort of interstellar drive to cross into other realities as well. We don't know for sure, but it's something to speculate on as maybe the actual truth of the matter. Either way, folks, let's move on to the next article. Black scribbled shadow figure races down the hall of a haunted 1920s home. Was this some sort of specter, folks? Some sort of shadow being? Let's read on into this article, read the full account, and then we can decide for ourselves exactly what this mysterious being is, folks. It might even be a cryptoterrestrial as well. Let's get into it now. A quiet September afternoon inside a 1920s Laguna Beach home turned into a chilling encounter when a witness saw a 3-foot-tall black scribble figure rush down the hallway and slam a door shut. Could the property's speakeasy era past, or something even darker, be stirring within its walls? I encountered a shadow person recently. I didn't know that's what it was called until later. I live in a house in Laguna Beach, California that was built in the 1920s. Throughout its history, it has served as a speakeasy, a brothel, and a home for smuggling illegal immigrants. One day in early September 2025, my new wife and I were arguing. I can no longer recall the cause of the disagreement. To cool off, she walked down the block to get a cup of coffee, leaving me alone in the house. That's the first mistake they did, folks. They argued. This probably fed this entity in this place some sort of, dark energy, and it allowed it to manifest. But let's continue with this story, folks, and see where this goes from here. The layout of the place is quite haphazard. On one side, there's a bedroom and a living room, then a bathroom with 2 entrances. On the other side of the bathroom is a hallway that features windows on one side and 2 bedrooms on the other. From my bedroom, I can see across the hall into the bathroom and down the hallway. While I was standing at my dresser, I noticed movement out of the corner of my eye and looked over. There was, honestly, this gives me goosebumps just typing it, a black figure. It was approximately 3 feet tall and vaguely humanoid in shape. It resembled black scribbles, as if someone had drawn a human shape with erratic lines, but those scribbles moved like electricity arcing through the air. That's the best way I can describe it. There was no sound that I could remember. At first, I wasn't afraid. I was just confused, thinking, what the heck? Then it noticed me looking at it. And I have to say, folks, the fact that this guy noticed this thing, it's truly a bizarre creation. It looks like it's almost a combination of a shadow person and a, shadowy blob. But this time, the shadowy blob is like basically this mismatch of lines and scribbles in the form of a human shape. Let's continue now, folks, and then we can discuss this and the first article we read through. I can't say it turned around, it just focused on me, and suddenly I felt scared. I didn't move or scream. I was frozen in place as it rushed down the hallway toward me. I have no idea what its intention was, but as soon as it entered the bathroom, the door closed to me, slamming shut. I screamed and yelled for my wife, but she wasn't home. I quickly went outside into the daylight and didn't go back until she returned about 20 minutes later. Tea. That's terrifying, folks. There's also a note as well, so let's read that before I discuss what we just read through. This may not have been a shadow person. I instructed the witness to take notes if any other activity was observed or noticed. In most cases, the entities are attracted to dysfunction and conflict within the family or among people living at the location. If he and his wife have constant strife, there may be a connection. However, according to the witness, the argument was a singular incident. It was not a recurring one. Additionally, the couple appears to have minimal issues that may attract one of those beings. Well, that's indeed interesting, folks. But as the guy said in the article here, folks, that maybe people see these things when they're tied directly to the place. Now, the man and the, wife here, they don't have a dysfunctional relationship, but they did have an argument which might have fed this being that was tied directly to this place to manifest. I think it's a possible idea there, folks. As I said, most likely, if this was some sort of spiritual or maybe some sort of interdimensional interloper, then this being is tied to this spot. Maybe because this is where this rift in reality, if it indeed is an interdimensional interloper, is located, folks. But I can't be for sure. All I know is that the fact that this entity appeared after this argument is telling. Now, with the first story, folks, if indeed that home has some sort of, or basically has some sort of a property that basically makes it prone to some sort of dimensional interference and manifestations, perhaps much like this home with basically this shadow being, or this scribble, of a shadow being, folks. Maybe these places occasionally, if they're not window areas, maybe occasionally small little, pockets open up and this weird phenomena occurs. I would just say, folks, is if this place was, or should I say the place that had the shadow being in, folks, was prone to such happening, then the fact that basically that directly after this argument that this being manifested is telling that maybe this portal or whatever it is on this place, it's always open, but these people fed it enough energy for this being to manifest, perhaps, or basically bleed through into our reality. That's just an idea. But if all of this is indeed true, folks, what does that say about our reality? That it seems to basically that there are cracks and crevices everywhere. In fact, entire areas, as I've basically explained before, folks, like window areas exist, and perhaps, maybe, these areas, as I said, bleed over into ours from other realities. And that means that all this phenomena people experience is actually interdimensional interlopers, perhaps. It's an idea. But folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell. That'll give you all future notifications. And please, share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.